everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. Activist Post has a brilliant piece. Scientists and physicians are sending an appeal about 5G and the rollout of 5G and the health dangers to the European Union. Well, it's good at least somebody's listening, especially since we know that it typically takes Europe to really address some of these issues, especially with regards to health. Of course, we know that Europe has really spearheaded the anti-fluoride campaign and trying to remove fluoride from the water supplies, as it is a toxin and it is a pharmaceutical to boot. And it's it's a huge overreach for any sort of government agency or institution to drug you without your consent. I mean, it is just, that's human rights 101. Now, Activist Post, Catherine Frompovich writes, September 13th, 2017, more than 180 scientists and doctors sent an 11-page appeal for a moratorium on the rollout of 5G in the European Union. The reason? RF and EMF has been proven to be what? Harmful for humans and the environment. But 5G has not been investigated fully for potential health hazards and environmental impact by independent scientists, rather than the industry scientists who apparently would rubber stamp 5G similarly as the other generations of telecommunication updates have been. Let me stop there. Folks, 4G is harmful to you and to your cellular well-being. Any sort of RF device that you carry on your person is going to do long-term damage if that device is a transmitter or a transceiver, anything that is radiating. And I know they say, well, it's just a small amount of power. Radiation damage is cumulative over time. I can tell you this because as a former military guy that's done extensive work in communications, both as military and civil service, I can tell you that over the course of 20 years of using these radios and this radio equipment, although low-powered radios, it has done damage to my joints. It hurts when it radiates. When I use a radio, I can feel it. Didn't start that way, but over time, that actually happened. You have telecom companies now that in their cell phone operators manuals, they're actually putting the warning out there now, an RF warning on it saying to hold it away from your head. Don't put it near your head. Whereas before, oh no, it was no problem. There's no issues here. Same with Wi-Fi. We bathe ourselves in microwave energy. And that's really what this ends up being. Once you get into the VHF and UHF spectrum of your radio frequency, you're starting to talk about radio waves that are so tightly compacted that it can burn through, flesh. Burns through our atmosphere. That's why UHF and VHF are not over-the-horizon communication systems. They are only to the horizon and not over the horizon, simply because that wave is so tightly compacted that it burns through the atmosphere and goes out to space. That's why you have to have cell phone repeaters all over the place, because it's only to the horizon or line of sight. Now it says, according to the appeal, 5G is effective only over short distances and is transmitted poorly through solid materials. And because of the inefficiency in transmission, a tremendous number of antennas or cell towers will be needed to implement 5G service. Now, one key paragraph jumped out, and this is what it said. Quote, with the ever more extensive use of wireless technology, no one can avoid to be exposed. And because on top of the increased number of 5G transmitters, even within housing, shops, and in hospitals, according to estimates, 10 to 20 billion connections to refrigerators, washing machines, surveillance cameras, self-driving cars, and buses will be part of the Internet of Things. All these together can cause a substantial increase in the total long-term RMF, EMF exposure to all EU citizens. Folks, absolutely. Your electromagnetic frequencies and your radio frequencies would explode if you have to have all of these transmitters or transceivers, repeating stations all over the place. And 5G will utilize, again, a more tight wavelength. It's going to go higher in the RF spectrum, which is more damaging to your cellular health because we simply absorb it. Now, there are no studies for long-term RF and EMF exposures to human. Let me stop there, Ms. Frompovich. There's plenty of data where exposure rates are measured, and they know what the cellular damage it causes. They do know this. The problem is they don't have anything that talks about what specifically this exposure leads to over the course of time. They know it's cancerous, but they have no real conclusive study to say, oh yes, this for sure does this when. They have plenty of data to basically postulate it, but it's never really been studied and written on. Now, any other science that happens with regards to RF and regards to 5G is simply consensus science. And that's basically having the study funded by those that need the work done, a la your telecommunications industry. This is basically now why I say science has become more of a dogma, if you want to say, or for profit, and less about the pursuit of the truth. And people will sell their souls to make ends meet. I mean, think about it. If you could live comfortably or high on the hog for the next 20 years without ever having to worry about being in any sort of financial difficulty, all you had to do is put your signature on a study. And don't worry, it'll go away. Why? Everybody's hooked on this technology. It's going to revolutionize the convenience. People will love it. Hey, I'm improving things. No one's going to know anything, and by then it'll be too late. So why not? Why of course people will do it. They'll find a willing soul that would sell their soul for that. Of course they will. They've done it many a time. Now it says here, numerous recent studies and scientific publications have shown that EMF affects living organisms at levels well below most international guidelines and national guidelines, including increased cancer risks, cellular stress, increase in harmful free radicals, genetic damages, structural and functional changes of the reproduction system. By the way, here in the United States, 50% drop in sperm counts since the 1970s. Huh. I wonder why that is, but let's keep going. Learning and memory deficits, neurological disorders, and negative impact on general well-being in humans. Damage goes well beyond the human race, as there is growing evidence of the harmful effects to both plants and animals. And the appeal notes that the International Agencies for Research on Cancer, IARC, the cancer agency of the World Health Organization in 2011, concluded that EMF frequencies of 30 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz are possibly carcinogenic to humans. However, new studies link the NTP study mentioned above and several epidemiological investigations include the latest studies on mobile phones using phone use in brain cancer confirm that this RF and EMF radiation is indeed carcinogenic to humans. So if it's carcinogenic to humans, just because everybody loves it, shouldn't they at least know what it is that they're doing to themselves when they're doing it? And shouldn't people be given the choice to not be exposed to this type of technology should they not want to? Because, see, especially here in the United States, this is where we have to be careful that the rights of the minority is respected. Because that's the way this country was founded, where mob just can't rule. And in this case, that's exactly what's going on. Everybody's so hooked on the smartphones and the wireless, that we stamp or trample upon the rights of those that don't want to be subjected to it. And unfortunately, the places that you can go to not be subjected to it are getting smaller and smaller. You basically got to be Amish at this point. Or live out in Montana, which I'm doing a heartbeat, and just make sure you have enough land around you to get you outside the range of some of these transmission systems. So this is a very interesting thing. And, of course, in the land of bisphenol A and genetically modified food and, the smart grid, we're going to keep going and poisoning our people because our people love it. And if they didn't love it, you would think at least that they would be more vocal about it. And I hope that over time, the raised awareness to the damage that 5G and other microwave transmission systems like it causes to the human body, that it will become more evident and people will get pissed off and start ditching this technology. Hopefully, and who knows, maybe we can reconnect with our humanity. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day.